Hello and welcome to News Round, a recap of stories amid headlines during the week. Coming up, call for justice amplified as Nigerian youths protest death of Afrobeat singer Mohbad. A candlelight procession and concert held in his honor. President Bola Tinubu delivers his first address to world leaders at the 78th United Nations General Assembly and asks that Africa's development be seen as priority. A major verdict delivered by the judiciary as governorship election petition tribunal sacks Governor Abba Yusuf of Kano State and upholds victory of Bauchi and Plateau governors Bala Mohammed and Caleb Mutwang. U.S. Deputy Treasury Secretary Nigerian-born Wale Adeyemo visits Nigeria, reaffirms strong bilateral ties. That's News Round in View. Well, the fire of tribute for late Afrobeat singer and rapper Lerioluwa Oladimeji Aloba, also known as Mohbad, has continued to burn across the country as fans and residents of other cities throng the streets in his honor and memory. These processions also double as a call for an investigation into the circumstances that surround his death at age 27. On Thursday, youths in Ekiti, Oyo and Osun states, as well as Peckham in the United Kingdom, in their numbers displayed placards and donned black outfits to identify with a mass movement to demand justice for the late Mohbad. In Lagos, a candlelight procession was held at the Muri-Okola Park in Victoria Island, attracting celebrities. Similar protests were also held in Cross River and Taraba states.
It's been 10 days since the passing of Nigerian rapper and singer Mohbad, and the tribute and call for investigations into the cause of his death is still on. On Thursday, acclaimed multiple award-winning singer Davido led the front line as thousands thronged the streets of Lagos, southwest Nigeria, in his honor.
I want everybody to be quiet now. Everybody, please, can we be quiet, please?
Candle lights and flashlight from mobile phones illuminates the Muri-Okola Park at dusk as the procession finally converged briefly.
This is Light. We are representing Imole right here.
You said Mohbad music has been a very positive influence because all his music, all his lyrics, it's about the story of his life. It's about the struggles of an everyday youth.
All I just want to say is we love you, Mohbad, and we seek justice, and justice must be served.
The wave of protest also hit the south city of Calabar, the Cross River state capital, with residents also marching the streets with placards. They also chant against members of his former record label, Marlin Music, following alleged bullying and harassment that followed his exit from the imprint.
Right now, listen to me.
The candles are also ignited in Taraba State, north-central Nigeria, as local entertainers lead out residents for a tribute night.
These are youths, these are entertainers, these are active Nigerians that they are out here to pour out their pains, to mourn our dear brother, our dear entertainer, Mohbad.
And in New York, in the United States of America, a massive billboard also displayed images of the late singer and rapper as more and more global audience join the tribute train.
And outside the country, to the United States, where President Bola Tinubu has declared that the development of Africa must be seen as a priority. According to the president, who was speaking at the United Nations General Assembly in New York, this is not just to enable the various countries on the continent to achieve development goals, but also the world. He mentioned this while addressing world leaders during the general debate of the 78th UNGA.
World leaders arriving for the general debate of the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly taking place in New York. The theme for this session is rebuilding trust and reigniting global solidarity, accelerating action on the 2030 agenda and its sustainable development goals towards peace, prosperity, progress, and sustainability for all. The UN Secretary General warned that the world is becoming unhinged and called for clear and decisive reforms.
We are inching ever closer to a great fracture in economic and financial systems and trade relations, one that threatens a single open internet with diverging strategies on technology and artificial intelligence and potentially clashing security frameworks. It is high time to renew multilateral institutions based on 21st century economic and political realities rooted in equity, solidarity, and universality, and anchored in the principles of the United Nations Charter and international law.
Presidents scheduled to deliver addresses were called to the podium one after the other. Their presentations described their individual perspectives on the world's problems and their solutions.
We stand with the African Union and ECOWAS and other regional bodies to support constitutional rule. We will not retreat from the values that make us strong. We will defend democracy, our best tool to meet the challenges we face around the world.
If we continue to prioritize national interests, private interests, or just some particularistic interests of individual actors and leave the resolution of global problems on the sidelines, we will extinguish ourselves as a civilization.
In his inaugural appearance at the General Assembly, President Bola Tinubu took to the podium. His address made a determined push for enhanced international cooperation and partnership with African nations and other developing countries.
To keep faith with the tenets of this world to this body and the theme of this year's assembly, the poverty of nations must end. The pillage of one nation's resources by overreach of farms and people of stronger nations must end. The will of the people must be respected. This beautiful, generous, and forgiving planet must be protected.
In a timely speech, the president emphasizes the need for a united front against the theft of Africa's mineral wealth, an affirmation of democratic governance, and ensuring that climate change is addressed with consideration for Africa's economic peculiarities.
We desire a beautiful, prosperous, vibrant, democratic living space for our people. We will do it. To the rest of the world, I say, work with us as true friends and partners. Africa is not a problem to be avoided, nor is it to be pitied. Africa is nothing less than the key to the world's future.
Now, speaking separately, there appears to be some agreement among these leaders that steps must be taken to address the evolving and unique challenges facing the world. But what many would like to see in the coming days is a commitment to concretize the words spoken here. From New York, Lanre Lasisi for Channels Television News.
And now to major verdicts from the judiciary. We begin with Plateau State, where the Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Jos has affirmed the election of Governor Khaled Mutfwang of the People's Democratic Party and dismissed the petition filed by the All Progressives Congress candidate in the March 18th election, Mr. Natawe Yiltwatda. Delivering the unanimous judgment, Justice Sunday Olorudawasi dismissed all three grounds filed by the petitioner as lacking in merit.
Security operatives take strategic positions within the premises of the Plateau State High Court complex ahead of the judgment of the State Governorship Election Tribunal. The All Progressives Congress and its candidate had petitioned the court on the grounds that the People's Democratic Party did not have a structure to sponsor a candidate for the election, while also alleging that there was overvoting. The petitioner also asked for the court to include the votes of the 14 polling units rejected by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. However, the three-man panel of justices dismissed the petition, stating that the issue of the party structure is a pre-election matter, which is outside the jurisdiction of the tribunal. The panel added that the petitioner failed to prove the allegations of overvoting and alleged electoral misconducts.
In the analysis, the tribunal found that all the witnesses that were fielded by the petitioners either gave hearsay evidence or their evidence was so badly damaged under cross-examination, and so the tribunal couldn't rely on the evidence.
Talking about our feeling as a People's Democratic Party, I think what is most important at this point is that the governor and the indigenes of Plateau State will breathe a bit. Breathe not because the petition was wonderfully crafted or there were facts and grounds to support it, but because of the noise and the sense of entitlement that came with it.
Counsel to the petitioner is not satisfied with the outcome of the petition.
We appeal to our citizens and supporters to be calm, to be peaceful, and to have hope. Because obviously we're in a judicial system that encourages appeals. And you are all aware that in Nigeria, sometimes decisions of lower courts are upturned in the appellate courts.
The verdict prompted jubilations in parts of the state as Governor Caleb Mutfwang called on the opposition to join hands with him to move the state forward.
I therefore want to use this opportunity to call on my friends who were the petitioners that it is time for us to unite and move the state forward. The dissipation of energy on litigation is unnecessary.
The petitioners have 14 days to file an appeal, which should be dispensed within the next 60 days.
And it's a similar verdict in Bauchi State, where the State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has also affirmed the victory of Governor Bala Mohammed in the March 18th governorship poll. The tribunal dismissed the petition filed by the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, retired Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, for failure to prove the petition beyond reasonable doubt.
For 3.5 hours, the three-man panel of the Bauchi State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal read the judgment in the petition filed by the All Progressives Congress and its governorship candidate, retired Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, against the election of Governor Bala Mohammed of the People's Democratic Party. The chairman of the tribunal, Justice P.T. Kwaha, held that the petitioner failed to prove their allegations of non-compliance with the Electoral Act 2022, electoral irregularities, as well as the alleged bypass of the bimodal voter accreditation system BVAS machines in some polling units in 10 local government areas.
Even during the trial, you saw they were not able to call witnesses. So all the allegations, there were no witnesses to back them up. The documents they brought, no witnesses to speak to them.
The APC also argued that there were corrupt practices in the election and the governor was not duly elected by majority votes.
I stood up and I thanked their lordships for their judgment. So, and I begged them, I appealed to them, could we give us a certified true copy of the judgment so that we can give our client, who will give us the next instruction to do with the judgment.
We are going to sit down with our councils and then decide on the next level of the struggle to follow. Certainly, we are not going to end up here. We are going to continue with the fight.
Back at the Ramat House, Governor Mohammed is elated by the decision of the tribunal.
I solemnly invite my worthy opponents, each of whom is an unqualified success in his own right, to shield their swords and to join me in the collective quest to harness the enormous resources of the state to create a modern economy that would benefit everyone.
The petitioners have 14 days to file an appeal, which should be dispensed within the next 60 days. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
Welcome back. Well, it's a different turn of events in Kano State, where the State Election Petition Tribunal has sacked Governor Abba Yusuf of the New Nigeria's People's Party, declared the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Nasiru Gawuna, winner of the March 18th governorship election. The three-man panel of judges led by Justice Oluyemi Osadebe gave their verdict virtually and also ordered INEC to withdraw the certificate of return issued to Governor Yusuf and present the same to Gawuna.
The Kano Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has rendered its final judgment.
Can you please go down? Please.
Only 50 individuals, including court staff, counsels to the parties involved in the petition, and a few journalists were permitted inside the courtroom. The three-man panel delivered the judgment virtually. In the judgment, Justice Oluyemi Osadebe ruled for the withdrawal of Governor Yusuf's certificates of return previously granted by INEC and mandated a certificate of return for Mr. Nasir Gawuna of the All Progressives Congress. The court invalidated 165,663 votes of Governor Yusuf, citing unstamped or unsigned ballot papers as the reason for declaring them invalid.
Clearly, we have demonstrated it by bringing in invalid ballot papers, 165,000 of the ballot papers, and the court went through these ballot papers one after the other and confirmed that these ballot papers were not signed, stamped, and dated. And the law says it shall be signed, stamped, and dated. So all these three must be there.
Council of New Nigeria People's Party votes to appeal the tribunal's judgment.
Declare the candidate of the petitioner as a winner of the election, even though it's not a party to the matter. There are so many things in the matter, but the tribunal has said its own. We are going to consult our client, and then I can assure you that we are going to appeal against this decision, and I can assure you that this decision will not stand at the Court of Appeal, because the law is very, very clear that the tribunal cannot enter as a witness in the matter.
The ruling comes about 6 months after the APC candidate lost the election to Governor Yusuf in the wake of INEC's presentation of the certificate of return to the NNPP candidate. Sadiq Ilyasu, Channels Television News.
And moving away from the judiciary to bilateral relations, the U.S. Deputy Treasury Secretary Wale Adeyemo is giving assurances that Nigeria and his country are committed to maintaining a strong relationship as part of efforts to transform the country's economy. Mr. Adeyemo, who is of Nigerian parentage, made the remarks when he met with officials and business leaders at the Lagos Business School.
Business leaders from a cross-section of Nigeria's financial and media industries gather at the instance of the United States Deputy Secretary of Treasury, Mr. Wale Adeyemo's visit. Mr. Adeyemo comes as a representative of his president, Mr. Joe Biden, to share the commitment of the United States to strong and mutually beneficial relationship with Nigeria. He highlights steps which Nigeria could take to optimize its economic potential.
Nigeria needs a stable naira. You stop into any small business or market and you will hear shop owners and customers bemoaning the lack of a stable currency. Unifying Nigeria's foreign exchange rate will also create the kind of macroeconomic stability that is essential to attracting foreign investment. We commend the difficult steps your government has already taken to accomplish this goal. The path to unification is not an easy one, as everyone is experiencing, but going backwards would be even worse. I recognize the decision to end fuel subsidies is hard for many Nigerian households. But it was an important early step to create resources the government can use to invest in fiscal and digital infrastructure, education, and a strong small business environment.
The points were further elaborated during a question and answer session.
Thank you. The question is, sir, how bullish is the American government?
At the end of the event, the host, the Vice-Chancellor of the Pan-Atlantic University, Dr. Ignacio Conedo, lists key takeaways from the session.
We are happy that he chose the Lagos Business School to come and share the thoughts. It's always very important to understand how our largest trading partners as a nation, what they're thinking and the ways in which they can contribute and work together with us. And if anything else, it gives us the assurance that as we pursue economic growth, as we pursue security, as we pursue stability across the nation and indeed across the region, that we are not alone, we're working with very strong partners.
As the global economic landscape becomes increasingly interconnected, the significance of such high-level dialogues cannot be overstated, as it not only symbolizes the strength and resilience of U.S.-Nigeria economic relations, but also catalyzes future collaborations that could shape the economic destinies of countries.
And we had a news round in New York, where Africa Missions Global, a faith-based non-for-profit organization founded in 1996, has held its first edition of an initiative known as Horizon 2033 in Manhattan. The program aims to impact 100 million lives by the year 2033, and it was created by Pastor Mrs. Folu Adeboye and her husband, the General Overseer of Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, to empower humanity through charitable causes of providing education, water, healthcare, and empowerment, especially for women and children.
The inaugural edition of Horizon 2033 in Manhattan, New York, opens with guests from all walks of life coming together to celebrate the vision of this initiative. It begins with the unveiling of the new brand visual.
The new brand visual, you say, is not just a design. It is a representation of our spirit. It symbolizes the boundless energy and determination that fuels our mission to drive positive change worldwide. It stands for young lives aspiring to reach their full potential and embrace the values that underpin community and nation building. However, we cannot embark on this journey without acknowledging the challenges that lie before us.
The visionary, Pastor Mrs. Folu Adeboye, explains the inspiration behind Horizon 2033, connecting it to the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations.
Horizon 2033 aims to impact 100 million lives in Africa and globally by 2033. We will do this through community-based social intervention programs that focus primarily on making value-based, inclusive, and equitable quality education more readily available to historically disadvantaged communities.
The role of faith-based organizations cannot be overemphasized.
There's a lot of challenges around the world. We know the impacts of the climate challenge. We know the impacts of the COVID pandemic. We know the impact of many unsolved conflicts, which are really crippling our continent, not because we're the cause, but because we happen to be the unintended recipients of the outcomes. And for that, I think the solutions really lie at the community. And so having community-based organizations and faith-based organizations work together with business, with governments to deliver is very, very important. After all, change is what really starts at the community level.
For the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, the best legacy to leave behind is one that will have a ripple effect.
Africa is a great nation, is the giant of nations. But this is the way to start. The partnership will get from here. And I was discussing with my parents in the Lord this morning before we entered the room. I said, I don't want to build any building. I just want to invest in lives. And I think with the Renewed Hope initiative we started is one life at a time. And life is very, very important. Buildings will crumble. But, you know, as long as you have blood flowing in your veins, you keep going.
For charitable causes such as this, great partnerships are important.
At the African Export-Import Bank, we believe that the only way we will achieve the SDGs is if we can trade with one another. And how do we trade with one another? We need to produce. How do we produce? We need to educate our youth. And the vision and the objectives of Horizon 2023 fit into the objectives of the bank in that regard.
This vision of Dear Mommy Gio is one of those opportunities that we have to accelerate in the area of education, especially the giving of quality education.
When we all determine that I will do something, the world will be a different place. It will be a better place.
Governors of Lagos and Akwa Ibom State laud the initiative, pledging their support.
Being of agriculture is actually the rural areas. So we're doing just that, and it coincides with the vision that Horizon 2033 has. So we'll be pleased to work with them. Such a big work that you're doing, Mommy. It's lofty, lofty vision, but I trust God that as in all other visions of the Redeemed Christian Church, this is already succeeding and it will continue to succeed.
This also fits in clearly with our own vision as a state. And I'm truly, truly glad that at this time we can join you. We can join you with all of the goals that have been set by other world leaders, the Sustainable Development Goals 2030, the African Agenda 2033, the Horizon Vision 2033. It speaks to one thing, that all of us need to work collaboratively together, and we need to do it quicker, faster, and bigger.
And life patron of African Missions Global.
The life patron of African Missions Global, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, who has supported his wife on this journey through the years, believes that the vision is achievable.
When a man living in a room in a slum part of Lagos tells you that God said he's going to build him a city, what will you call him? If you don't say a madman, you say a dreamer. Well, whether we believe it or not, God still being on his throne, within the next 10 years, African Mission Global will have touched at least 100 million lives.
With a successful outing of Horizon 2033 and several impactful initiatives over the years, the African Missions Global hopes to continue its mission of attaining the Sustainable Development Goals, thereby creating a better future for children in Africa and the world at large. From Manhattan, New York, Ann Nwawadu, Channels Television News.
And that's News Round for the week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.